So I started to reach out. I knew I couldn't have like a normal guide because that would not work out. So I needed like a trail runner. And I just wrote in my details, and I was contacted by a guide, which he used to be one of the best trail runners in Nepal. He was running across the countries in like 40 days straight. He won like a lot of races. Like his CV like was really impressive.
Bloody hell! Is that slightly dangerous? I don't know.
So it was definitely my longest backpacking trip ever. Never been traveling as long, and to be honest, it's something I always wanted to do. Like I've been traveling a lot, but always been like shorter trips. I think also like traveling for so long, I think it was nice to have the running thing as well. Put some like the purpose routine to what I was doing. It was not just like a new city and new people, and it was also like I had this thing on my own, which I also wanted to do.
Welcome to the Winging It Travel podcast with me, James Hammond, where every Monday I'll be joined by guests to talk about their travel stories, travel tips, backpacking advice, and so much more. Right now, I'm taking the podcast on the road travelling with me, so tune in every week for short form episodes detailing all my travels alongside my Monday guest episode. Are you a backpacker, traveller, gap year student, or simply someone who loves to travel? Then this is the podcast for you. This is a casual, informative podcast designed for you to inspire you to travel. There'll be stories to tell, tips to share, and experiences to inspire. Welcome to the show. Let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome to this week's episode, where I'm joined by Tor Midtboe, who I met in Langtang Valley in Nepal just a few months ago, or maybe a month ago now. Tor has just completed a 7-month to 8-month backpacking trip, and we're going to talk about that said trip today. But more intriguingly, Tor is a trail runner. He has combined traveling to running, trail running, and even doing some marathons and some races alongside traveling as well. So we're going to talk about those two things combined. Super niche, it's super cool. Welcome to the show, Tor. How are you doing?
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Just finished my trip back in Norway, also in Norway now.
Yeah.
And enjoying the short Norwegian summer.
So you're back for the Norwegian summer dream?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I pretty early knew that we'll go back for summer. We only have like 2 months of summer, and and it's really beautiful. So I definitely plan to stay the summer back home.
Nice. And we're going to talk about Norway. Actually, we're going to go straight into where you're from, Norway, and trail running. So you're obviously from Norway. So whereabouts in Norway are you from?
Yeah. So I'm from Oslo. So I'm born and raised in the capital. Yeah. I grew up here, but I studied in another city called Trondheim. A bit north, like the middle of Norway. Okay.
I think a lot of people just don't know many places apart from Oslo, do they? They see it on Instagram, but don't actually know specifically the places apart from Oslo that I find.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like someone when traveling, people ask me like where in Norway I'm from, and they're kind of like relieved that I say Oslo because that's what they know.
Did I experience that when we sat in that cafe in Nepal? I think the Swedish girl asked where you're from. But being Swedish, I'd assume you would know where things are in Norway, right? More than somewhere else, like people from UK or people from USA. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I hope so, at least.
Okay, and in terms of growing up, I'm going to ask, firstly, was travel a part of your experience when you were growing up?
Not really. So, like my family, we didn't travel much. Like we had like a summer house where my mom grew up, and we went there like every week vacation, like the winter, the fall, the summer. So always the same place. I did like envy like the other kids at school traveling to like cool countries and different places. In my childhood, we had like 2 trips to Copenhagen to go to like the Tivoli in Copenhagen, and 1 trip to Gothenburg in Sweden.
Okay.
Like those 3 trips was like everything we did. So we didn't travel. I mean, I didn't see much, but I think that's actually affected me a lot, because when I got old enough to travel by myself, I really did that a lot, and I went to see places. And so travel has always been something I've been doing a lot when getting old enough to travel by myself.
Do you know what? I asked that question a lot, and that's almost the same answer. Like, a lot of people who travel now didn't seem to travel when they're younger. Maybe because the intrigueness is there, like, oh, what is out there? Because you've not seen it. But if your friends are traveling all over Europe, for example, I mean, when they get to adulthood, they kind of got a bit of a head start, but maybe don't have the ambition to see more because they've seen it a lot already.
Yeah, and I think also people travel as kids. Sometimes they are like dragged by their parents to like
Yeah.
museums, and they don't really have like a good memory of traveling. So that's sometimes maybe affecting people as well.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. That I wonder how many times people travel with their kids. Is it for themselves or is it for the kids? I wonder what the ratio is between the two.
Yeah, I think like younger kids just give them a ice cream in a pool and they're happy.
If it's hot there, yeah. If it's in the depths of Norway in the winter, yeah, I'm not sure it'd be fun with it. I'm not sure. Okay, and I remember we talked when we met in Nepal, in the Langtang. We talked about you trail running, and you said, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, that trail running again wasn't inspired by your parents when you're younger. You didn't do much of it. That's something that came along by yourself. So how did you get into that?
Yeah, I mean, like growing up, my parents and stuff, like we were outside, but we didn't go much hiking. We didn't do a lot of that.
Mm.
So I think I got more into sports from school, and yeah, so I did like played football growing up, and also I went cross country skiing.
Yeah.
So I was pretty active, I guess, in those things, and I wasn't really good. Like my cross country technique was not the best, but I was so I kind of compensated by being like working hard and working out a lot. So I think I got pretty good endurance from that. And then I started actually running pretty early. Just like I was never in a team. Yeah, started running like 10Ks and did like longer. And actually, by the age of 13, I did like a half marathon.
Oh, wow.
So I guess I was quite early doing that. But then I don't know what happened, but I got sick in a way. Like I couldn't really do that, that much anymore. I was growing a
Yeah.
lot and things happening, so I kind of stopped. Yeah, I didn't do like compete anymore. So I just kind of kept just running and being active. But then didn't really do any much races and stuff.
Okay. And with the cross country skiing, just a side note here. I'm not a skiing expert because I don't ski. But cross country is, excuse my ignorance here, is backcountry, right? So you're not just going to like a local mountain and going down a ski slope where everyone else is doing it. You're going into the countryside and then skiing from one place to another. Is that how that works?
No, not really. Like cross country skiing, and then you have like thinner skis, and you go on tracks. So there's like groomed tracks so that you
Okay.
follow. In Norway, like most places have tracks around like the city. In Oslo, you have this as well. So
Right.
you follow tracks, and you can do backcountry is like another thing I also enjoy a lot, but that's something I did later. And that's then you go, like you said, you go off in the nature, and you have like no tracks at all, and you have typical like brother skis.
Right. So cross country skiing is like maybe more what we are known to do, but backcountry is different where because the backcountry skiing is in my mind I've got those like videos of those guys getting dropped off in helicopters and they go down these like huge mountains. Like that's the extreme backcountry skiing, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I started doing it a lot like last years. So that's one of the things I really missed this year, traveling, going backcountry skiing, because it was a great way to see the nature in the winter. And you don't need to hike back. Like it's you go skiing down. It takes like a fraction of the time going up. So
Yeah. Yeah, get those snowshoes on the go. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That is something so extreme for me. Like I can't even imagine me skiing in like those really flat tracks that you get from like families or 4-year-olds that do them. The backcountry skiing is like way over there. It's pretty cool though. Pretty cool. Sporty type that you are. So how did you think about maybe combining running with travel? Was there anything like when you're younger where you thought, oh, maybe I could go to different countries and like do races, or go to different countries and just run, not backcountry, but like from towns to towns? Did that ever come into your mind when you're younger as well?
I guess not really. I think that combining those interests is something happened later in life.
Okay.
So I guess I was traveling and I did guess some city runs sometimes, but
Yeah.
I didn't really plan anything like larger than that. But I have been combining, like before starting trail running, I combining like hiking a lot. Like I've been hiking in other countries a lot. That's also been I guess like a bigger, and also going to different continents, planning around like a big hike or find a mountain to get up. So nature has been, well, I guess, always been important, but more the older I get, like less intrigued by drinking and that kind of stuff, and more nature prone, I guess.
I think that does usually happen when people travel a lot. I think also know a guy called Lawrence that we met in Nepal. I think he was saying that he was backpacking Asia for sort of the first time, but he's in his early 30s, so he got stuck into the party lifestyle in Southeast Asia, which is great. But I think I got stuck into that 10 years before that. I don't think I could do that again. So it depends what journey you're on, I think, in terms of the types of travel that you do. But that's pretty cool. Before we get into the details of that, I quickly want to ask about Norway. I assume that you've seen quite a bit of your home country. And I was going to ask just maybe one or two spots that people should visit in Norway that are definitely worth the visit. I mean, Oslo is obviously a guarantee because you probably will land there. But outside of Oslo, where should people visit?
Yeah, I mean, actually, first, when I got old enough to travel, I didn't travel to Norway. I went to I want to go other places. So I think
okay.
The last, I don't know, still 5 years or maybe a bit more as well, I started to actually to see more of my own country. And if you're into nature and hiking and all that kind of stuff, like Norway's, I think it's a really, really interesting country to see. Like, it's a lot of cool nature. And even though I'm from Oslo, I don't really recommend going there. It's not anything particular. I think it's pretty good coffee. So
oh yeah, now I'm interested.
Probably not the right person to ask, but I know it's famous for good coffee. Like this guy called Tim Wendelboe. I don't know if you heard of him.
No.
Pretty famous barista or coffee maker.
Okay.
So also it was good for coffee, but for nature, it's I think it's 2 regions that I would recommend, and you can also, depending on where you fly from, you can also fly into Bergen from some places.
Yeah.
And from Bergen and going like up, following the coastline there is really beautiful. Like you have the fjords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of hikes. You can also go by train to different places, go by boat. It's breathtaking. Like it's going a fjord and you have like 1,000-meter peaks on both sides of you, and it's
Wow. When people look at Norway on like Google or I don't know, Instagram or social media, I think the pictures that come up are the fjords, aren't they? Like those dramatic sceneries where people are just standing on a rock and it's like they're looking out to amazing scenery and stuff like that. It's routinely rated in the top 3 countries in the world to visit, right? Norway always is.
But you still need to. I think it's important that also Norway is pretty far up north, so the climate is harsher. Even so I do recommend like going in the summer, and then July and August probably is the best months.
Yeah,
but still at that time you can still in the mountain things still snow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So lucky. So you should. And some of those like most famous hikes, we talk to people like working there, like taking those hikes, and they say like on average every day they have to like evacuate people by helicopter because people start hiking without with sneakers and one bottle of water and nothing to eat. So it's an 8-hour hike. The weather can change pretty quick, so to look into what you want to do and make sure you are equipped and experienced enough.
Okay, and is there a second region that you'd recommend?
The second region is Lofoten. It's a lot further up north, so I think of driving from Oslo, it will take you like 20 hours or something.
Wow.
It's quite far, but that's it's also probably my favorite. I think actually my favorite trip ever was like a road trip. I had like 3 weeks driving around like Lofoten area, like camping and hiking and stuff. And it's also like really breathtaking. Like the mountains are just going straight from the ocean, and it's really like cool. And you should definitely Google it if you're interested. And there is a lot of things to do, and it's a very interesting area as well.
So could you combine maybe like if you do July and August, that's your trip to Norway, could you do like 1 month in the fjords and then 1 month in this place further north? Could that be like a good 2-month trip?
Definitely. I think that's and also I would do recommend like staying some time, because if you're unlucky if you go for like 1 or even 2 weeks, you might be unlucky. It can rain the whole time.
Yeah.
I'd say like at least have 3 weeks, because then you will get some nice days.
That's a good tip.
That's a good tip. And also, if you have time, you can fly into a place called a town called Tromsø, which is even further up north. Which is, I think, people go there in summer, but it's more famous for winter and the Northern Lights. But that's like a city, and you have everything you need. But still, like just around it, it's the nature is really, really beautiful. And I actually stayed there for a half year, like during COVID. So I was able to relocate myself for work. My work had like an office up there, and I asked if I could go there, and I was lucky enough to do that. And also there was when my mountaineer, like my trail running in the mountains, spark really started, because I did one race up there 2 years ago from now. And that's, I think, really, really started my passion.
Oh, okay, interesting. Have you been to Svalbard?
I haven't been there.
You haven't been there? No.
Definitely on my list.
It's one of the most northernly populated places, right, in the world?
Yeah, I think actually,
or maybe the most.
It's the most. One of the towns there called New Olsen is actually the most northern town in the world, I think.
Wow, that's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, and also people do live up there, and in the capital at least, like the Longyearbyen.
Yeah.
People live there, and you also, like, there are polar bears walking around, so you can't go walk around without like a rifle, because
in the summer, would they get any temperatures that were considered mild, or is it always just like super cold?
Oh, yeah, I think they will be mild. Yeah.
Okay.
So there won't be snow like around. Not warm, but milder for sure. Yeah.
Okay. The problem with polar bears is they don't hibernate. Any bear that doesn't hibernate.
Yeah. They're really hungry in the summer, at least.
Yeah, be careful. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, Norway is somewhere I've not been, tragically, which is a criminal act, I think, because it's always in the top 5 countries in the world to go and visit. I think maybe the one thing that puts people off maybe slightly is the price. It is quite costly, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's, I don't know, at least the current situation is our currency is doing really bad. I mean, it's really,
okay.
So it's, at least compared to the euro and the US dollars, because I lived like 1 year in the US, and that was like back in 2007.
Oh, just before the crash.
Yeah, and that time it was, I remember like 1 Norwegian kroner was like $5 US. And currently it's like, I think it's 10. I haven't checked.
Oh, wow. Double, yeah. Yeah.
So, and also like towards the euros as well now, like it's, so Norway's it's not the most expensive country in Europe anymore. Like Switzerland, Denmark is higher, and I think we're equal with UK at the moment.
Doesn't surprise me, yeah. Yeah, Switzerland was a different level as well. Yeah, I went there. Like a coffee was €6. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was almost sick. Yeah, it was tough. Let's get into your backpacking trip that you just completed. First of all, I want to know, how long was it in total, and how many countries did you travel to? And what countries? Maybe you can list them as well. Yeah,
so it was almost 7 months in total. I left my job early November, and then I started traveling like the middle of November.
Yeah.
Started off in Vietnam. Spent like 3 weeks there first.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to leave early because I had like a race planned in northern Thailand. So I did my first ultra marathon in close to Chiang Mai in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Which was it was a really great experience. Like the nature there was super beautiful, really cool race. So many people. I mean, I was really surprised to see how big trail running is in Asia.
Oh wow!
Thailand, like it was 1,400 people competing in like the 50K. So
wow, that's a lot.
A lot. So that was really fun. After that, after Thailand, I went to Malaysia. It's also in Laos and Cambodia. My coffee friend came and meet me, and we went. And we did like ultra marathon also in Angkor Wat. So
Angkor Wat, lovely. Yeah.
So running around the temples there.
What?
It was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
It was starting at night, and then you see sunrise. I went from Cambodia to Laos, back to Vietnam to do the middle part.
Yeah.
Another friend coming there, so we did that together.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to Bali in a couple of weeks there, and Indonesia, and then Lombok. And after Indonesia, then I went to Taiwan and spent almost like 3.5 weeks in Taiwan before going to Nepal and meeting you in Langtang.
And that was the last trip, right? I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, before we went home.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty decent trip. 7 months is a good amount of time for that because it's not too rushed. You can see a lot, and you've given yourself quite a good amount of time to see a lot of those countries in depth. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was definitely my longest backpacking trip ever. Never been traveling as long, and it's, to be honest, it's something I always wanted to do. Like I've been traveling a lot, but always been like on shorter trips. So, but I think like even since I finished high school, I always kind of wanted to do this like long trip, and I'm really happy I finally had the courage to just do it.
Yeah, that is the biggest probably advice or lesson to tell someone is, I know times right now are slightly difficult because we all know the inflation and stuff, but if you can just maybe take that leap and go and do it. I don't think age really comes into it. As long as you just get it done at least once, then that's definitely a cool experience. When you were booking this trip or thinking about this trip, where to go next, were you thinking about races that you could do, and did that dictate where you went and at what time? So were you booking, like you mentioned the Northern Thailand 50k race. So after that, were you thinking, well, I've got another race booked in, or I want to do this race in this country? Is that how you traveled across the region?
Yeah, at least in the beginning. So so when I knew I was traveling, and then I just looked up like different races, and then I found the race in Thailand, and so I definitely planned that, and so I had 3 weeks first, and I decided to do Vietnam first, and then the race, and also the race I did in Cambodia was also planned around to make sure to get there in time. But after that, I've been more in like a training phase, I guess.
Okay.
Because most of my races are now in the summer.
Yeah.
In Norway, so I've been actually been trying to not to race all the time because I think it's good to train too. So
okay.
But also, I guess it's if I was lucky to have found races when in my current itinerary, I would probably do it, but I didn't let after that, I didn't let races decide.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Go and so.
And is there like two parts to trail running? So is there one part where you are racing, and the second part is a bit like Nepal, where you're just like hiking? It's not a race; you're just like hiking a trail, and that is, you are running that, but it's not like a race. You're just doing it in your own time, right? So is there like two parts to it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like the biggest part and the part I enjoy the most is the non-race part of it. I mean, it's just being out in the nature, doing stuff in your own pace, in your own going where you want. So that's what I'm doing definitely the most. So and races has just been like a small part of it. I find racing is fun. I love races, but it's just a small part of it because training is it's more fun. I mean, this is more normal.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get to like the non-race part, I've got one question about a race. So the Angkor Wat race that you did they close off the whole site for this race?
No, they didn't close it. So we did run different places, and we did run around like some of the ruins. We didn't go into actually Angkor Wat. We did some other things close by, open for everyone else as well.
That's cool. In Southeast Asia, was there any hikes or walks that you trail around that were really good that you'd recommend maybe some people they should check out?
There's a lot of good stuff. I think actually my favorite trail run was in Taiwan, actually.
Okay.
It was not really like a long one at all. I think it was the name was like Dulian Forest or something. It was close to Taichung. It was really like well maintained. It was still like trail. It was not like super easy. It was still had to like quite steep as well. So it was a hiking trail for sure.
Okay.
For me, I found like it was really nice to run. Some elevation, which I enjoy, and it was really fun to run down this kind of more technical parts. So it was really. I think that was my favorite trail run.
And is that a 1 day hike and back?
Yeah, for me it didn't take. I think it took max 2 hours. So it was not. Right. I did longer ones as well, different places. And one of the ways I did because like going to another country, it's you have to find where to go. I mean, if you're training in your own backyard, you know exactly what's here and where you want to go. So I guess it's a more challenging. So if you really care about like being the best trail runner, I wouldn't recommend traveling the world because it is a bit more challenging. But on the flip side, like you get to see so much more new stuff and so much cool nature. I'm usually using mainly two apps called Wikiloc and All Trails. And I think this is also for hiking, and so it's kind of the same things. And I mean, I was using also hiking trails. Didn't look specifically for trail running.
Got it.
Usually the same. What I did was I looked for like prior races in that region. And if there was like a prior race, they also usually they publish the GPX file as actually the GPS route.
That's cool.
So then I can download it and upload it to my watch, and I can just follow it. And these routes are usually like made like these really nice trails.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's great, because then you didn't have to like really think about where you've got to go. You can just do the GPS route. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Makes things a bit easier.
Yeah, and that's. Yeah. I also always try to like. I didn't really go out on any places without like knowing where to go. So usually I had to download like this to my watch to follow it.
Okay. And how often would you like combine? Maybe you got your trail running, but just like normal traveling. You know, there must have been parts of traveling where you weren't running or training, right? It must have been just the generic backpacking around.
Yeah. So it's like I said, like it's two parts of me. Like the travel part of me, which is more, I guess, a normal traveler.
Yeah.
Which is going to new places, meeting people, seeing the sights, eating the food, like doing all that kind of stuff. And then I had like the running parts. So I think also like traveling for so long, it was nice to have the running thing as well. Like it was some like
purpose.
The purpose routine to what I was doing. It was not just like a new city and new people, and it was also like I had this thing on my own which I also wanted to do.
Did you meet anyone traveling that was doing the same thing as you, like trail running?
Yeah, I met at least like during the race. Like when I went in Thailand, I met some people. I was traveling around, but not for us as long. So I met some people, but usually it was hikers.
So the next place we're going to talk about is where we met, in Langtang in Nepal. So obviously you made an effort to go up to Nepal. Langtang Valley Trek was on your list, and for me it was always on my list to go. But there was one caveat this year, which I've talked about on my other podcast episode, and that's the need for a guide. So obviously my first question is going to be, if you're going to plan to trail run a hiking trail, you had to look for a guide that could do the same thing, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, up until Nepal, I think I was more like a backpacker, which I trailed run the places I went to. So I went to like an island in Thailand where I just ran around the beach. So I didn't really gear like so much towards the running part. I did that just when traveling. But going to Nepal, that was kind of different. That was kind of my end of my stay, and I also wanted to kind of prepare myself for the runs the races I had back home. So I wanted to do more running and also doing the mountains. And my plans kind of changed a lot from the new rule with the guides, because I also saw that and I was like, wow, I did not anticipate this, because my first plan was doing the Annapurna circuit independently. But then when I read about the guide, I was like, so I started to reach out, because I knew I couldn't have like a normal guide, because that would not work out. So I needed like a trail runner. So there was like a webpage, like Nepal trail running site. They had like a place you can apply, and if you want to go and trail run, and they just wrote in my details, and I was contacted by a guide, which he used to be one of the best trail runners in Nepal. He was running across the countries in like 40 days straight. And he won like a lot of races. Like he showed me his CV, like was really impressive. So he proposed for the Annapurna circuit, but for me it was too expensive, so I didn't want to do that. So that kind of changed. I changed my mind. And I was also unsure. I was almost going to the Everest region, because I knew there. I heard like they were not enforcing it. So I was thinking maybe I would go there, but also a bit bit afraid of the elevation because there is like you fly into to look like it's pretty high. Yeah. So, but then Langtang Valley came up as an option, and to be honest, I'm really happy about it because it's really a beautiful place.
Yeah, because the hike is actually it's fairly short if you just do the town Sebu Bessi to Kyanjin Gumpa at the top. That can be, depending on how quick you are, 2 or 3 days, maybe 5 or 7, depending on your ability. So it's a fairly quick hike. And obviously for you, it would be super quick. So was your plan changing as you go? Or did you think, okay, we can go to Langtang Valley in this amount of time, and then you actually hiked back to Kathmandu afterwards? So did you have a certain amount of days that you planned to book a guide for?
Yeah, so he proposed the 10-day itinerary.
Yeah.
Which was we're driving to a town close to Sirbesi, and and we started from there and went up to Langtang and back again, and we also then did like another pass kind of. So we went over 4,300 meters pass, which is also like a really interesting part because it was like a Hindu pilgrim route. So suddenly, like from Langtang, like you're meeting mostly like international hikers.
Yeah.
And suddenly we're just mainly like local people hiking in sandals, and yeah, it was really weird. Like up in 4,000 meters, like you meet all these people. That's, I mean, definitely not geared what we would say like for this kind of hike, but also very interesting, and like staying in the tea houses with all these people, like really struggling hard, like really working hard to get up to this kind of lakes.
Yeah.
Gosankunda.
Yeah.
Have like a bath. So that was pretty cool. And I actually had some snow for my first time in on my trip.
Yeah.
In late May. Then we had some snow before going down again, and carrying on towards Kathmandu.
Your plan was pretty much the first 3 or 4 days was doing the Langtang Valley Trek, the traditional trek, and then you done the day hikes to Kyanjin and Seko Ri, right? You done those 2 day treks up there. Then after that was back to Kathmandu via the Gosankunda Lake. Okay, that's a pretty cool and quite fast 10-day itinerary.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We actually did extend it as well, like because we were moving faster than his plan, so we did like an extra loop.
Right.
But still, like we didn't do like super long days. So I guess it's kind of similar to the hikers. Usually got to do tea houses around like early afternoon.
Yeah.
So and we didn't start early at all. So it's good when you're doing it like many days, because I would not be able to to run like full days carry on like for like 10 days. That would be too far.
Yeah. How did you find the increase in altitude when you're going up the Langtang Valley Trek, and also after that into the lake? Like
in the lower lands, that was also fun. Like I think I was kind of like leading the way. My guide was kind of struggling behind in the beginning.
Okay.
But once we kind of got further up, then it was like the other way around. So I was definitely better acclimatized to the altitude. And that was for me like a big difference. I mean, yeah, it was definitely like harder to move fast, and definitely more hiking. It's kind of interesting because I might have like sore legs from long days, but up in the mountains I didn't go that far, so I didn't have that problem. But it was just the head was like pounding, and all those signs of altitude sickness, which is also like, I mean, they had some, I mean, going down from the Turikuri, like 5,000 meter peak.
Yeah.
Then they had some really beautiful trails. So it was just super beautiful. So we did run all the way down to Kyanjin Gumpa. It was so fun, but then my head was just pounded like crazy. So I just get some painkillers straight away once I get going.
We met another guy called Lawrence. We had a laugh at this because I saw Lawrence a few times in Kathmandu before he went to Hong Kong. And we were saying that, so Seko Ri is a day trek from Kyanjin Gumpa. So you do your Langtang Valley Trek, you get up to the village, and some people might stay there and do these day hikes. And one is Seko Ri and one is Kyanjin Ri. And Kyanjin Ri is a bit lower in altitude, but Seko Ri is quite a big altitude difference from where the village is. It is 5,000 meters up in terms of the altitude, and you're at 4,000. I don't know what Kyanjin Gumpa is, roughly around that. So it normally takes between 7 and 8 hours, I think, a normal person to do return, but you've done it in About 3.5 to 4, right?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the time, but yeah, it was before lunch.
So like most people just got there at lunch at the peak, but you're already back to town. So that's a pretty impressive time. But up there, I can imagine in the morning as well, amazing views. Must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was definitely my highlights, like in terms of views. It
Yeah.
was definitely like another world to see those peaks. Yeah, all snow capped, and yeah.
And clear day, isn't it? Because I think, well, the local in that cafe that we met said that before 12 p.m. it's pretty clear. So you need to do your day hikes pretty early to get up there and see the views before the cloud comes in. But unfortunately, I couldn't do either of them because I was too knackered. I think for me, that was just enough, the Langtang Valley Trek. But it's pretty cool to see your pictures on there. That's pretty impressive to go up there. And it's funny that this guide that you had was kind of struggling at lower altitude, but really coming into his strength in the higher altitude. It's pretty intriguing, that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So he's definitely been running a lot in the mountains. So he was, I think, also on the way up to Turkey, he was just like kind of leaving me. Probably the only place where I actually think that I could be okay to have a guide, because it was, yeah, the trail was just like filled with snow and it was not super easy.
Yeah.
But I think he wanted to show that he was fast, so he just left.
Fair enough. And you would recommend Langtang Valley as a trek? Normal hikers.
Yeah, I think definitely it got everything. Like, feel like it was really authentic with the people there and the whole experience. So in addition to the really great scenery.
Yeah, lots of tea houses, lots of options to stay, and not too busy, I thought, our trek. I don't know what you found about that.
No, definitely not. So
No.
I guess it was also like in the end of the season, so perhaps more at other times. But in Langtang Valley, I was the only person at all the tea houses I stayed at. So like the only guest, me and my guide.
Yeah, I think I only saw one or two people in my guest houses, so I guess they share it out to make sure people get at least one trekker in.
Yeah, I think so. That's good thing.
How did you find the price? Was it more expensive than you thought? In terms of the food at the guest houses as you go up, and also the guide price, would you say it's fair price, or is it quite expensive, do you think?
I think it was fair priced, to be honest.
Okay.
So in Langtang, I paid all in advance, like even for food. So I just saw the menus. Yeah, I didn't pay anything. I paid everything in advance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the guide wanted for the 10 days, he wanted $600.
Yeah.
And I said I'll do it for 500, and he said okay. So that was what I paid for those 10 days.
Oh, that's not too bad. That's a pretty good price. Yeah. Ours was about, I think, 700. But that includes a Jeep return. So maybe that's actually, if you don't include the transport there, then it is way cheaper. Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
We went all the way back, so we didn't even take the bus. So.
Yeah. Because you hiked all the way back to Kathmandu. Yeah, that's pretty insane. The question about Nepal, because obviously we would have seen the same stuff on the way up, but like when you're hiking back, especially back from the Langtang Valley to Kathmandu, you must have seen places that I just don't think the generic traveller would see. Like you must have seen some real authentic, like locals. I mean, unless you're trail running or specifically visiting those villages, like I wouldn't even know to even go the way you went back to Kathmandu, right? Because you just go back down the way you came and get the Jeep or bus back. So you must have seen some like real, proper, authentic villages and towns.
To be honest, like we kind of followed like a ridge most of the time, so we weren't really going down to the villages, which was further down. So
right,
we all stayed at like tea houses, was kind of geared towards. And to be honest, like the most authentic part I actually felt was going up to Kusankunda, because there was just so many local people. Like it was just then you met all these people and you talked to a lot of the guys doing this, and that was really cool. Yeah. Once you kind of passed that, then you kind of went back to the international crowd again, because there was also some other people hiking.
Right.
Hiking from Kusankunda. I don't know if all the way back to Kathmandu, but they're at least part of the way.
Yeah.
And because, while the locals there went back again, so. Came up. So we didn't really go into too many local villages.
A quick question before we get to Annapurna, because you went there for briefly, I think 5 or 6 days. Would you say uphill or downhill is easier for you on those treks?
Downhill, for sure. I mean, I guess uphill was okay when I was hiking, but downhill, in the beginning I was like, because in Nepal there's a lot of like stairs, so they're like man-made stairs, which is different from. It's not really like typical trail. I usually don't trail run on stairs. So in the
Okay.
beginning, I did struggle with it. I didn't, yeah, you need to find like a pace, and so, but after a while, I actually kind of got into the flow. So I got better. I guess it's not the most fun terrain to work on, to run on. At least like in altitude, it's so much more fun going down than going up because it's
Yeah,
lot
that's
less
true.
painful.
Actually, I thought the trail was like annoying up until probably almost like a few hours before Langtang. But from Langtang up to the Kyanjin Gumpa, like it's a really nice trail. It's just like, it's not too steep. It's just gradual. There's no steps really. That was quite enjoyable actually. At the start, it's quite step heavy. A lot of
Yeah,
steps.
and I do agree with you. Like the best trails was up, like really up in the mountains there.
Yeah.
So I also wish there was less stairs, but I guess with those amount of people going there, it will be hard to maintain
Yeah.
the rain. And I also think like with the rain, I think that was also like the reason why they're making stairs, because the trails would just run away or flood away in the monsoon season.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay. And then you went to Annapurna. So you said you wanted to go there initially, but changed your mind. But you did end up going there for 5 days or 6 days?
Yeah, I probably went there for around that time. So I went to Pokhara first.
Yeah.
Spent some days there like relaxing too. So
Yeah.
and I actually did like once I got back, the day after I got back to Kathmandu, I then found a trail, like a trail race in Kathmandu. Yeah, I signed up for it like just before going. So that was yeah. So the day after I was pretty tired, and it was like a 15. It was not long. It was like 15K.
Yeah.
It was still running around the mountains there. So after that, I was pretty tired, and also there was like some food poisoning the day before. Actually, on the way back from meeting you, I think Lawrence, he said something about momos, that he was getting momos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that started something. So just before I got to my hotel, I saw like this small place. They were like closing down, but they said like, "Oh, we have chicken momos. That's the only thing it has left on the menu." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get that."
Oh, wow.
In the middle of the night, I woke up and looked at everything, and so.
So was that after the New Orleans dinner?
Yeah, exactly. On the way back.
So you had dinner there, and then you went to get momos on the way back,
Mm.
and then Lawrence's recommendation gave you food poisoning.
Yeah. Then I had this terrible long bus ride to Pokhara the day after.
Oh man, that's savage. That's not good.
I was pretty tired by the time I got to Pokhara.
Yeah.
I needed some days to rest.
Yeah. 10 hours on the bus, that's pretty standard for Nepal anywhere you go, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really bad.
Yeah. Got to Pokhara, recovered, and then you went to do part of the trail, right? Annapurna Trek trail. On your own, not with a guide.
Yeah, so like talking to you and Lawrence, figuring out like you can actually go without a guide. So then I was thinking like, then I want to do something in Annapurna. So I didn't have time to do the whole circuit.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I had some days. I was considering like another route, but then I was in the end I decided to do the Annapurna base camp trek.
Yeah.
So I started that, and I did it in 4 days. But the first day I started pretty late, so I didn't go far.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there was 2 days where I did went up there almost to the top. Next day I went to the top, and I went all the way down again. That was really long. So that was like probably my longest trail runs. So I was like between 30 and 37K, and like up to one day was like more than 3,000 meters of elevation as well.
So, in one day?
In one day, yeah.
Bloody hell. Is that slightly dangerous? I don't know.
I feel like actually hiking in Nepal is super, like these kind of trails is super safe. Like there's tea houses all like everywhere. Like you don't need to go far. You find like another place.
Yeah.
And they serve food, and they can give you everything you need. And the trail is impossible to get lost. Like it's super well maintained. So
if you're doing too much and you feel like you're just going too much in elevation, you could probably stop at a tea house and stay there, right?
Yeah, and that was what I was doing as well. Like I wanted to push it a little bit to test myself.
Yeah,
and I knew I could just back off from the plan.
Yeah,
at any point.
Yeah, because the base camp is I think it's 4,000 meters, right?
Yeah, like 4,100.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you start at 1,000.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where I started,
Mm.
but I think a bit higher. But yeah, you go
Okay.
up and down a little bit. So
Yeah. And how did you find it? The base camp there?
yeah, the base camp, I mean, it was really cool with the views of the
Yeah.
Annapurna.
Mm.
That was the first time seeing like an 8,000 meter peak, and also we had like I went there up there in the morning for sunrise, and it was just super clear. Could see really good views. That was fun. They actually had the Annapurna marathon there the next day. I almost joined it, but I knew that I need I shouldn't do that. I would kill myself. So then it starts at the Annapurna base camp, and you run all the way down again.
Oh,
Uh,
bloody hell.
so,
We did talk about that if you're going to join the marathon. We all thought you probably wouldn't because I think you're pretty knackered. You're pretty tired. But yeah, that's wise
but it's
move.
funny. Like I ended up going there anyways. But
Yeah.
I guess it was fine. Like not to just do it by yourself, because it's nice to put like a bib on my
Yeah. Yeah.
then something happening. It's hard to go slow. So
Yeah.
go in your own pace. So.
Yeah. Wise move. And the last question about Annapurna, did you get like checkpoints or did you get asked if you had a guide at any point?
I think like when I bought the permit, they just didn't ask anything, or they just asked me if I had a guide, and I said no, and there was no problem at all.
Wow.
No, so it's really interesting to see like how different it is on the ground from what you were hearing. So
Yeah.
so I could have done my original plan without the guide, no problem.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, and also on the trail, like it was actually my initial plan was going on another trek called like Mardi Himal, and there they didn't even check the permits. So it was only like when we went
Wow.
to the base camp, then they were actually checking the permits. So
yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because I didn't know about this until I probably met you guys. And then when Lawrence started saying that he had no guide, I was like, oh wow, they're not yet actually enforcing it. But I just remember walking up Langtang, and when my guide went to go and like hand the documents to the thing, the guy was just not interested. He didn't even look. I was like, he's not even checking. That's when I first had a bit of an idea that maybe you don't need a guide. The only question is whether they start in the trekking season September, whether they start to enforce it or not. I guess we'll see.
It's impossible to know what's actually going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. I've got some sort of questions to finish on your trail running. Yeah, your backpack. So obviously, if you're trail running quite a bit, how heavy was your backpack?
Until before Nepal, I only had like a race backpack, so like more like a day hike thing.
Okay.
So, but then since I knew for the first time I was going to Nepal, I wanted to do like a several day thing.
Yeah.
Which is called fast packing. It's like a special name for it when you actually kind of backpack going hiking for several days as a trail runner. So I bought like a specific backpack for that purpose. And the one I had was that was a 20-liter backpack, so it was not big at all. Okay. So I really had to be careful to what to bring. So I really had to put my mind into finding like only the bare essentials. And I don't know exactly the weight. But it's definitely like a lot lighter than everyone else's backpacks.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay. Weird question. I've not actually added it here. Water. Did you have your own bottle where you filtered the water, or did you buy it on the trek?
I actually bought it.
Okay,
and
bought it.
It was included in the price. So since I paid everything in advance, so it was like no reason to not get bottled water.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Would you have a maximum amount of miles or kilometers you'd trail run a day? More specifically, going to like multi-day hikes here. A maximum, like no more. I shouldn't do any more, or was it just about how you felt on the day?
Yeah, I think it's more on how you feel, but also like elevation put kind of also if you get going higher than 3,000 meters, then that's also gonna be important to have that put into the equation. If you're going for more than several days, I think I wouldn't go further than like at least not 40K.
Okay.
But to be honest, I haven't done any other than Nepal. That's like my first multi-day trail running ever. So it's still kind of, I guess I had to learn what's too far in the future.
So I guess now in the future you might have a better idea about how to maybe plan those days out, because the day hikes are fairly easy, right? You just go up and down, it's done. But multi-day hikes, you just need to think about what you're carrying, how much you're doing per day, where you're going, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a very different thing. I think it's a lot of fun. And I know there are different places in the world you can do multi-day trail running hikes as well. So
yeah,
it's definitely something I'm gonna do. And I think, and also when I did Annapurna, I did kind of push the distance more than I did with the guide in Langtang, and that was also to kind of get more information about like how my body is gonna react to different like stimuli.
Yeah.
So,
where do you think next in the world would you like to do a multi-day like trail running hike? Where would you go?
Yeah, I mean, now you're starting to what's going to be my next trip. My current plan is to stay in Norway until like early October.
Yeah.
Then I will gonna travel, and currently I'm thinking of going somewhere in Europe, like South Europe, maybe going to Madeira or Azorna, like in Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
Yes, Portugal. They have I heard some really nice trail running.
Yeah.
Places over there.
Yeah.
So then I also want to do more than multi-day thing.
Okay.
But I'm still a lot of, I don't know yet, but I'm most likely going to be somewhere in Europe.
I guess the next question would be, after that, are you planning to travel more or back to Norway for the skiing?
Yeah, I want to go back to ski this year, but I don't need to go back that early. So
okay.
So currently, I think I will. Yeah, I want to travel until February, somewhere in February, I think.
Wow.
So I'm still not 100% sure where to go, but currently I got intrigued about Oman from you.
Oh yeah, Oman, yeah.
And I found a trail running race there in end of November.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah.
If things works out, I might go there for that time, and probably be a bit more better temperature than when you went there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like November, December would be an awesome time to go. Yeah, real comfortable. That'd be great. Where's the race in Oman? Do you know what city it's in, or whereabouts in the country?
Oh, I don't remember. It's
more
in the mountains, so it's.
Yeah, we didn't go to the mountains because you need a 4x4 to drive up there. They have some rules about that. Unless you run up there, it'll be fine. But yeah, the 2x4s, as I said in the podcast, you need to make sure some checkpoints let you through, which they do and some don't, and that's just based on the law. But just get a 4x4 and you'll be fine. But that'd be cool in the mountains. So that's where we'd go next. I'm glad I inspired you to go to Oman because that's a great country. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing where you're going to go. We're going to finish the episode on some quickfire travel questions. So these are just basically your favourite things you've seen on your travels worldwide. Can be anywhere, can be Norway, anything you want. The first question. Hey, yeah, just a quick one. I just want to say there are many ways to support this podcast. You can buy me a coffee and help support the podcast with $5. Or you can go to my merch store with the affiliate link with TeePublic, where there's plenty of merch available to buy, such as t-shirts, jumpers, hoodies, and also some children's clothing. Thirdly, which is free, you can also rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or Good Pods. Also, you can find me on social media on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. Simply just search for Winging It Travel Podcast, and you'll find me displaying all my social media content for travelling, podcast, and other stuff. Thank you. It's travel question time. It's actually more of an admin question. Is how many countries have you travelled to?
Oh, I haven't counted in a while, but I'm guessing it's in the 40s.
Okay. And of those 40s, which 3 are your favourites?
I'm going to put on Nepal there, because that was really amazing.
Yeah.
And Myanmar. When I went there back in 2012, that was really amazing. That really sparked my love of traveling. Mm-hmm. And Thailand, can't beat that.
Okay, 3 countries in the world that you've not been to that you'd love to go to next. Take, I don't know, running or racing out of it, like just 3 countries. Like, right, I'd love to go there.
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, I always wanted to go to Fiji.
Nice. Yeah.
So I don't know if that's probably not the best place for trail running, but it's always been on my list. And yeah, I also want to skydive, and I wanted to go to Fiji. So I have been skydiving, but I still haven't been to Fiji. So
Okay.
But, yeah, definitely somewhere I need to go. And also Bhutan. That's the closed off country.
They changed the rules. Do you see that?
Yeah, they did.
It's now less. It's now less money to go.
Yeah, I saw it on
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
your
interesting.
Instagram. So
Yeah.
you must see. Hopefully,
Mm.
it'll continue to
Keep going
lower.
down. Yeah.
I think I want to go to one of those like Tajikistan, like one of those down countries
Sounds.
with
Yeah.
Tajikistan was
Yeah.
really no one goes.
It's starting to become a tiny bit more popular now because no one goes. So
Yeah.
I think it's the next region to go to fairly soon before people start writing, blogging, podcasting about it. If you can sit anywhere in the world, in a city, and drink a coffee and watch the world go by, which city are you going to drink it in?
I want to go to Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Never been there.
Same. Yeah. Okay. 3 foods or cuisines that are your favorite internationally.
So Thai is probably my favorite. I do love Asian food coming from there, so it's like kind of biased towards Asian food. So Vietnamese food is also really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, also like Italian food. Yes.
Yeah, classic. Okay. If you could live in a country that you've not lived in before for 1 year, where'd you live?
I want to live in Indonesia. Then you can travel to so many places.
Yeah, it's like 600 islands. Yeah. That'd be a good place. Okay. And what about a favorite walk, hike, or trail that you've done?
Yes, Langtang Valley.
Yeah, would highly recommend it. What about a favorite landmark? Can be nature or man-made.
I went to Canyonland National Park in US, like in Utah, and I hiked there I did like a 3-day hike with a friend.
Yeah,
and that was really amazing. Like it was, and then you have to apply for permits, and it's really so you kind of when you get a permit, then you're by yourself. You don't see really other people. And that was really. We kind of walked into like a dry riverbed.
Yeah.
And on this, you see like all this erosion made like the rocks kind of look like people. So you kind of felt like really, I don't know, out of this world. So that was really like amazing hike.
Oh wow, that's a great recommendation. Okay, awesome. And the last question of the podcast is 1 sentence to why someone should quit their job and go traveling.
You only live once. You work so much. So why? Yeah. And you're not going to look back when you're old. You're not going to look back and say, "Oh, I wish I was working that 1 year instead of going and seeing the world."
Yeah,
that would be so much better.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Okay, Tor, thanks for coming on to the podcast. It's been a great niche episode. This is a very unique episode where we combined a specific like trail running and racing around the world and combined it with travel. It's been a great episode, and it's been great to catch up.
Yeah, it's great being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Tor. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my Winging It Travel podcast episode today. You can find me on Instagram at James Hammond Travel or Winging It Travel Podcast. You can search for both. I release weekly clips of this podcast episode, as well as photos from the last 8 to 10 years of my travels. You can also follow me on TikTok, Facebook and Pinterest by searching Winging It Travel Podcast. I do release daily content to do with travel and the podcast throughout the week. Also check out my website, jameshammond.org. There's content about myself, my travels, and there's also a newsletter sign up as well as a contact form. Finally, please rate and review the podcast on Podchaser. This is my platform of choice. Alternatively, you can rate this on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts from. This really helps the podcast gain a bit of traction for the future in terms of guests and content. And I'm glad to see that you guys are listening out there, reviewing it and enjoying the content so far. Stay safe, stay humble, keep listening, keep traveling, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers, James.